Today we're going to be going into the beginning of a 4-video series that I'm going to be doing. And I'm going to be shooting these live, so I hope that you enjoy them, on what it is that I came to understand in infield trainings that I do. And what I mean by infield trainings, I want you to imagine what it's like to be in my life, because I think that you could learn something about it for your life. Okay, so my life is that I've got to be so damn good at meeting new people that I not only know how to teach it at the highest level, I've got to be so good at it that if a celebrity takes the training, somebody who's very, very, very skilled takes the training, somebody who sucks takes the training, somebody who flies in from South Africa to spend their lifelong dream takes the training, I've got to be able to walk out to a bar or club or nighttime environment, or daytime environment rather, and I've got to be so good at this that I knock their socks off. So, the average person when it comes to socializing, they might meet, 5 or 10 new people in a given year. And, that's pretty good, right? If you had 5 or 10 new people come into your life in a given year, for most people, that'd be pretty good. But when you teach this stuff, people want to see that you're so good at it that you can basically take over a venue on command. So imagine that I'm just talking to you. Say your name is John or Fred or Charlie. I'm like, hey, Charlie, chop, chop, go take over the venue. Just go win and let me see. Okay, so this is basically what my life has been like. And my life has been filled, the best way that I could describe it to you is with high pressure. Okay, I've chosen a very, very high pressure lifestyle. And that is a high pressure lifestyle as far as the social skills that I demonstrate during infield trainings, basically picking the hardest type of training that you could possibly do. From there, transferring that to the person who I'm teaching. So I've got to be really good. The person that I'm teaching has got to get good or they think that it sucks. And then I've also done this as far as entrepreneurship, as far as doing free associative public speaking in front of huge crowds and not having a mic. I have a mic going to the camera, but not to speakers. Speaking without PowerPoint. So these are different skills that you've seen me do over the years. I love this stuff, but my entire life has been super, super, super high pressure, basically gun to the head level pressure. And so what I want to do in this video series, I'm not going to be doing infield trainings that much longer in my life. So I thought that we could actually use a little video series just describing what it's like when I do infield trainings, okay? What it's like. And by the way, if you ever want to get onto an infield training with me, I'm not really offering these publicly anymore. You'll rarely see me offering these. I've got my schedule pretty close to packed out for the year. But if you want to get on it, if you want to try to squeeze in, shoot me a DM. I'll answer you personally, if you're serious, okay? Only do this if you're serious. www.instagram.com, Owen Cook. Just go to your Instagram app and shoot me a DM. Shoot me a DM if you're serious about it. Hit me up with your name, phone number, email, and a time to call you, okay? If you're serious about it. And John, you could even make a little thing there that says name, phone number, email, and a time to call you. We could put that down there. That's if you ever want to do an infield training with me, DM me if you're serious about it. Okay, so some lessons. How would you like to get so incredibly good at socializing, so good at it that you're just completely unstoppable, okay? Like so good at it that you know that on a dime, you could just smash it and that you understand the concept of pressure and that pressure literally means nothing to you, okay? So in other words, you're somebody who's absolutely clutch. You ever remember guys like Kobe Bryant back in the day where, he would have like, a game-winning shot, game on the line, playoffs, and he would just go ahead and win? That's the kind of mindset that I'm talking about. No matter what the pressure, you basically just don't fold, okay? So I'm going to describe to you a little bit more the pressure that I've dealt with, and I'm going to show you some of the tactics that I've used to deal with it, okay? Because I believe that the pressure itself is crazy, but also there's an element to which when you're doing this sober, it's super crazy. And there's an element to where you're doing this when you're running a high pressure business where you have to be very, very logical, where this gets crazy, right? And so that's kind of been my challenge over the years, okay? And then showing it to another person. So here's basically what it's like. Back in the day when I started off doing infield trainings, I was an understudy of my mentor, Mystery. And Mystery, just a machine. I mean, I can remember the first time that I did my training with Mystery. That was the most important weekend of my entire life. There's never been a more important weekend than the training that I did with Mystery, okay? I've never spent better money. I've never had a more important weekend. It was the life-defining weekend of my entire life. I shudder to think of what my life would have looked like if I would not have done that training, because I saw things that weekend that just seemed impossible, okay? It just seemed impossible. I could talk for hours about my training with Mystery, but the point is, like, a couple key takeaways was he's a machine. He had people crawling all over him. He's fearless. He's completely in control. He's the center of attention of every single venue that he went to. Now, the thing with Mystery is he's very, very tall, right? I think he clocks in about 6'4", but he'll also wear platform boots back then and a top hat. So he'd clock in at about 7'1", and he knows magic. So this guy knows magic. He's 7'1" with all of his combined gear. That's like kind of what he looks like. And then he's just going around the club, smashing it with magic. It's completely insane what it is that he's doing. And so back then, even though he was so skilled, a lot of people would say, we couldn't, regular person couldn't replicate that. It's this 7'1" guy going around doing magic. It works for him, couldn't work for me. So Neil Strauss, who's actually a short little bald dude, and then also myself, who's kind of like this geeky little autistic dude, we were two of the first guys who said, you know what, we can actually use this as a template, and then we can do the kind of things that he's doing. So Mystery said to me, he said, Owen, what I want you to do is I want you to replicate what I'm doing, but instead of using magic tricks to hold the attention, I want you to use stories. And so you've got to become an incredible public speaker and an incredible storyteller. And, this is not easy, right? And I hold myself to a high standard. So when I'm in the club, even though Mystery is my mentor, I wouldn't say that I'm competing with him in the sense that I'm trying to get the attention of the same person, but I hold myself to the same standard that I'd like to be able to do the things that I saw him do. That was basically my goal. So, imagine that you're, 22 years old, you're autistic, like basically have Asperger's, completely clueless what's going on. And then you're looking at your mentor that's like 7'1" doing magic, and you're like, okay, I'm going to try to replicate that same kind of attention using stories, right? And his method is basically he would go in with a neutral opener, and then he would use magic and also different routines that he has, hold a huge amount of attention, and then, if there's someone that he likes, he would kind of tease them, which would then cause them to chase, okay? So I would try to do the same thing as a more average guy with low social intelligence using storytelling, basically trying to replicate the same thing, trying to replicate the same result. And what wound up happening was Mystery actually allowed me and Nick to go and assist with him on the trainings. So he said, look, you're not there necessarily as a guru, but you could be there as a facilitator to kind of keep people organized and keep people moving. And, maybe you can help out a little bit. So I wound up helping out Mystery. And I would go on there and Mystery would be smashing it. But what I would always try to do in my mind is I want to have the best customer service, even though I'm working for free. But I want to have the best customer service that I can possibly have, because I know that I don't have his skill set. That's impossible. But I thought, okay, well, if I would focus on the clients a massive amount, I can add value to this training. And then also, I'm somebody who's a little bit more average, so I could show it on that training, right? And I'll tell you, me coming from Canada and all of a sudden finding myself in bigger cities, initially it was like small town in Canada where I grew up in Ottawa and Kingston, smaller town. And then all of a sudden I'm in Toronto, I'm in Montreal. These are like big cities to me. That was a lot of pressure in and of itself, okay? And I actually used to drive up to Toronto every single weekend to try to go out with Mystery and his roommate, actually, any weekend that I could. From there, though, and Mystery was kind of available here or there. He also liked to play video games because he was so good at it, he didn't really need to go out. But basically, he'd go out here or there, and it was helpful. So from there, though, we went down to New York City. That was freaking crazy. I mean, that was insane, helping him down in New York City. And just being in like this huge city. And it's like, okay, you're in this big badass city, small town kid from Canada. How are you going to handle the pressure? And the way that I handled the pressure back then, okay, the way that I took it was I was just very, very committed to what we would have called back then as my warm-up. And so that was where I buried my fear at that time, my social anxiety at that time, was I was very, very focused on my warm-up. I'm like, look, I'm out here. I'm here to help facilitate. I'm just going to jump in right away and just start going. So I didn't really have a lot of great social skills that were in my control. But what I did have was the ability to be consistent. So this is what I would always say to people that have a mentor and, they're trying to get maybe some help, is you can always control your attitude and you can always control the fact that you take massive action, and then you can always make yourself helpful. Like back in the day, if Mystery needed a Sprite or needed to drive somewhere, I'd be like, hey, let me drive you around. Let me go get you some drinks. Let me help you out. And then I could learn and just get little chunks and nuggets from him where I could. So that was how I handled the pressure initially, was just the fact that, I was just really committed to the process. And that's really always been my method over the years, is like, if you're scared, you can deal with that pressure by sticking with the process. Now, I want you to remember this too. I really want you to put this in context. Out of all the different ways that you could teach somebody, like let's say that you're a teacher, Infield training is the most hardcore. right? Like there's very, very few teachers who are going to put it on the line like that, right? That will put their reputation on the line weekend in and weekend out. Just like, I'm so fucking good at this, fly across the world. It'll be the best thing that you ever do, right? You've got to be damn good at it. Just like when I took my program Mystery, I knew it was going to be awesome, and he delivered, right? Okay, so that was kind of how I used to handle that back when I was younger. Now, the next level of pressure, and this was when I was like 22 or so, was Mystery said to Nick, he said, hey, I'd love you to fill up a bunch of programs for me. And so Nick, and a little bit myself, but mostly Nick, spent the entire semester filling out a bunch of programs for Mystery and just help it, so he had a lead list. And then what wound up happening was he asked Nick to fill them. So anyway, what happened was Neil Strauss at the time, he said, hey, I don't want to come anymore. And then Mystery loves going out with Neil. That's like his best guy to go out with. And, we're kind of like we're the peons, okay? We're the underlings. So he does, it's like he likes us, he has, he likes us, but, it's kind of like he wants to go out with somebody who's on his level. He doesn't want to go with a bunch of peons. But what wound up happening was we said, well, what should we do? Nick has just spent 4 or 5 months filling these things. And then Mystery said, hey, you just go teach them. Just go for it. You guys teach them. You're ready. Go teach. And we'd been having some success. So we actually wound up going and getting this other celebrity guy. His name was Orion, and he was famous in the community back then because we wanted somebody else to lead it up. And then we went down to, I guess it would have been San Francisco, Los Angeles, and Miami, London, and Amsterdam. And we wound up teaching there. And, that was a really, really, truly crazy experience. Okay. And we taught in New York again, too. So I can remember teaching my first ever live training. And we actually used to do these in Starbucks. Okay. So I'd actually bring in, I think we had about 6 people in the program, and we brought them into Starbucks. And I'm like this Asperger-y, belligerent teacher. And I just went up there and slayed those speeches. It's a weird thing, but I think I might have a little bit of an epigenetic advantage because my great-grandfather was a Christian preacher. So maybe there's some epigenetics there. I'm not entirely sure. But I remember Nick and Orion, they said to me, you guys, Owen, do you have any notes prepared? And I said, no, I don't have notes prepared. I know exactly what I'm going to talk about. And they said, no, you've got to be prepared, man. You've got to have notes. And I said, look, I know exactly what I'm going to talk about. It's going to be completely sick. Don't worry about it. We're going to go crush this thing. And it was funny because they had a whole bunch of notes. But I went up there and I was just in the pocket and I just went and smashed the speech without notes. And was a very, very, very dominant speaker right from the jump. Now, why is it that I was such a dominant speaker? Could be a little bit epigenetic like I mentioned, but here's the other point. You learn to get in state from going out, okay? So by going out, you get in these super, super, super crazy flow states, and those flow states allow you to access your higher consciousness. So by me going out for the past while and getting really, really good at getting into a flow, now what I could do is, remember earlier I said one of the tools that I was using in order to teach was basically to be consistent in my warm-up? Well, and look, I'm 44 right now. This is two decades and 2 years ago, okay? 22 years ago. Well, back then, the first step was focusing on my warm-up. The second level of me handling pressure was learning how to get into a flow state, okay? Now, as far as that flow state, what I learned to do is just let it ride, okay? So in other words, allow the pressure to build and fuel a flow state and just absolutely let it ride. And what happened was, right at that moment, we knew that I was a dominant speaker. We knew that we could build a whole business around it. We knew that I was a dominant speaker, and it was all related to flow state, okay? So it's just one of these things where if you can allow yourself to get in state, the way that you do when you're out at the club, you can become a dominant speaker. So this is what guys don't understand. Let me explain something to you that you see in a lot of the different communities that they don't understand. There's this big meme going around right now that says, don't get better at dating, build your money from 20 to 30, don't just go chasing people, because people, the most attractive thing that you could be is rich and powerful. So don't work on your social skills. Instead, work on building your money. You need to understand something, and you need to listen to me fucking carefully what I'm going to tell you. You listen, and you listen fucking good. Let me explain it to you. These are guys that on a night, because I still go out 4 or 5 nights a week. These are guys that I metaphorically body every night that I go out. You need to listen to me carefully. These guys get bodied. They get bodied, okay? If they are foolish enough to bring sand to the beach, they're not going home with the sand. Someone at the club is going to be leaving with the sand that they came with, okay? Do you understand what I'm telling you? They think that if they become the king of the betas at an Uber provider, that is what's going to make them attractive. They are wrong. They will get bodied. They will have infidelity issues in their marriage, most likely. It is really horrible. You must be learning this in your 20s. Do you understand? You must be learning this in your 20s. Do not fail to learn this in your 20s, okay? Or you will get bodied when you're out, and you will have a divorce most likely. And that doesn't mean that that couldn't happen to myself or anybody. Anybody can have a divorce. Don't get me wrong. But you will have problems that you cannot imagine, okay, if you don't know this stuff. Frankly, you could have them either way. But if you don't have these skills, you're definitely going to have them. And the reason why is because social skills is a dance. And what they're telling you is not to learn that dance. Not to learn that dance in your 20s. That is fucking stupid. These people are fucking ignorant. Do you understand me? And it is only because when the cat is away, the mice will play. Back in the day, when I was able to show interactions here online, they couldn't get away with saying this. Because when that was the standard back then for a long time, they would have been talking their talk and people would have said, hey, show it. Show all this amazing results you have. Why not show it? But they can get away with it now because when the cat is away, the mice will play. So understand, look, society is going to go through many different iterations, and eventually there will be places where people will be able to post interactions again. And what's going to wind up happening is people that say this stuff are going to look fucking dumb. They're only able to get away with this now because they're under this weird cushy environment where that's not a thing anymore. They are fucking wrong. But let me also tell you another thing. Do you really think that lacking in social skills is the best way to make money? Really? So, let me give you an example, okay? Sid, who I work with, okay? You guys know Sid. You've seen him up here a few times. Sid is a self-made millionaire from his early 20s. Sid actually wound up taking a course with Dan Pena about how to get money. He wound up applying it. It's in mergers and acquisitions. Figured out a lot of his own ways, just like myself learned from mysteries, figure out many of my own ways. Sid learned from Dan, figured out many of his own ways, but credits Dan as the guy that got him started, like me with mystery. And what happened was Sid became a self-made millionaire. Now, once Sid became a self-made millionaire in mergers and acquisitions, and I'll bring him on to talk about this someday. He's at a Vipassana meditation right now. I'll bring him on sometime for a guest speech. What happened to Sid was he was basically in the tens of millions of dollars. I don't know his exact number, so don't let me quote. Ask him his number. I don't know his number. It's just he had a lot of money. But he was on his ways to hundreds of millions. What happened, and maybe $1 billion. Like that's the trajectory that he's on. And I don't know his exact numbers. Well, what happened was he saw what I was doing with communication. He dropped out of mergers and acquisitions completely and followed me around for 4 years. And here's why. He followed me around for 4 years, fundamentally like acting somewhat like an intern until eventually he became so good that he could literally do the things that I could do now, which is crazy. And being super rich, right? That's a fucking hell of a lifestyle by late 20s. But basically and the dude does wingsuiting and skydiving and base jumping. He wrestles alligators and climbs mountains. Guy's out of his fucking mind. But anyway, so why we're homies. So basically what happened was Sid wound up learning this stuff because he realized, wait a minute, if I can get communication and public speaking skills like what Owen's showing, I will make hundreds of millions more in mergers and acquisitions. So I've got enough money now to have a runway. I'm going to go learn a couple years from Owen, and then I'm going to go become a gazillionaire in my older age. That was his thought process at the time. He may evolve it. He has some different ideas now. He's got more into spirituality. So he's evolving in his thinking. So we'll see what he winds up doing. That's up to him. But understand that even a guy making tens of millions of dollars realize I have a cap because I'm a fucking nerd. And if I don't understand social skills, I'm going to be disadvantaged when I go into a negotiation. I'm going to be disadvantaged when I go into the boardroom, et cetera, et cetera. So this idea, and not to mention when it comes to making money, okay, let's think back to this. So the reason that I was a dominant public speaker from my very first speech was largely because I understood flow states from social skills. I also understood how to hold somebody's attention who is hyper stimulated in a club, right? They've got stimulation from a million different environments. And in real time, I'm learning how to hold attention. Do you think that I can't hold the attention of a captive audience in a fucking boardroom if I could hold somebody with low attention span in a nightclub? Think about this, right? So all of the different things that you're doing to switch your brain on, get in flow states, learn social calibration, learn communication skills, learn inner game, and so on and so forth, If you think that somebody in their 20s shouldn't be learning that, that is the dumbest shit I've ever heard. Not only will you limit their income, but you will also, in many cases, destroy their relationship, destroy their marriage, and wind up with infidelity issues. And if they ever happen to bring sand to the beach when they go out, they're not going to be leaving with that sand. Okay? Now keep in mind, you're saying to yourself, oh, well, what about these like super rich guys that got rich? I coached a bunch of them. Do you understand? Many of these are my clients. That program in wink, wink, San Francisco in 2002, who do you think might have been there? What kind of things were coming up at that point? What kind of advantages might those now quadrillionaires practically have from what they learned back then? Use your fucking brain, okay? We were in the top networks. These people were coming to us for years, and many of them still do. So if you think that somehow not learning social skills, to work and I'm going to make my fortune and then someone's going to like me for my money, you're about to get ganked, bro. Bad. And lose the money while you're doing it. You've been given the wrong advice. You've been given the wrong advice, okay? Oh, I couldn't, use social skills to make money. Listen to me carefully. If you ever want to on training, tell me to show you how to do sales in the middle of the street. I can do cold sales middle of the street for 5 or 10K into PayPal and fucking Zelle off my phone in 10, 20 minutes flat, often before an Uber gets there. Social skills, I've done $100 million plus in sales out of my mouth. I don't do a ton, yes, I tell people, study Dan Kennedy, study John Carlton, study Alex Hormozi. I use the general templates of those guys, but most of what I'm doing with sales is using frame more so than me actually doing any advanced sales tactics. So as a result of that, that is what sales does, right? And that's what communication does for sales, rather. So again, best thing that I ever did in my 20s was learning all this stuff. And it was learning to be in a state of high pressure, okay? So that was how I handled pressure in my early 20s. Basically, initially, throwing myself into my warm-up, and then from there, learning how to get in a flow state. And by the way, if you just got on this live, here's actually what's happening, okay? I'm going to be doing Infield tradings a little bit more this year. I'm moving into podcasting coming up. You've already seen me doing some of that, had some guests, doing some political commentary, etc. So I'm going to stop traveling and doing these boutique trainings, these like low student ratio trainings. I don't have that in my future. So I'm sort of putting the word out now in the series. If you want to get on one of those trainings, only if you're serious, just shoot me a DM on Instagram. These aren't even available, so that's really the only way to get a hold of me. If you look right here, Instagram, Owen Cook, shoot me your name, phone number, email, and time to call you, okay? Don't just go, Buka. I'm probably not going to call you back if you do that. And your name, phone number, email, and a time to call you, okay? If you're serious about it, hit me up. If you want to take, and boot camp, if I'm being honest with you, boot camp is not just the best social skills trading on the market. Boot camp is the best self-help trading in any niche on the market. There's nothing better in self-help. I've been to almost every single self-help seminar that existed for many, many years, okay? There's some more recent ones I haven't been to, but I mean, I've been everywhere. This would be orders of magnitude more intense. I mean, imagine coming to my house, hitting the field together. Nobody has the fucking balls to do that, okay? And it's whenever I do infield trainings, it's not me seminaring you. It is completely feedback-based and infield based, okay? I don't just fuck around talking at you. You can watch my videos from home, okay? So these are gonna fill up pretty fast. You'll see me do a couple videos where I mention this, and then you're not gonna see me mention it anymore, okay? So if you wanna get on infield trading, shoot me that DM and I'll call you, okay? But get inside that fucking training, okay? If you are serious. By the way, doing an infield trading is supposed to not be something where you lose money. Ideally, when done properly, that's up to you, should be something that you make money off of, okay? If you can't find a way to make money off that, and I can't do it for you, but if you can't figure out a way to make money off something like that, I don't know what the fuck to tell you, okay? You might want to get a little more creative. Okay, because the way that you make yourself valuable is by making people money. So I'm here to make you money, okay? That's my goal. Now, let's keep going. As I got older, the next thing that I learned was the content inside Blueprint Decoded. So you might remember Blueprint Decoded, where I talked a lot about deep identity level change. So again, I'm still living that lifestyle, being under crazy ass pressure. I'm doing the most high pressure programs in the world, which is teaching boot camp. And then what happened was I said to myself, okay, so, I've learned to access a flow state, I've learned to warm up, but what if I don't want to have to necessarily warm up as much? What if I don't want to have to get into a flow state? What could I do to stabilize this to be able to deal with the pressure? And so, because this was a huge, huge, huge amount of pressure on me for many, many years, what I realized was I've got to actually have deep identity level change. And so that's when I came up with the blueprint. The blueprint was basically a program that went very, very, very deep into social conditioning. The blueprint also talked about reticular activation system and halo effect, and how even if you're like an ugly person, you can attract people that are very, very attractive because of the halo effect and the way that having high value alters the halo effect that they're seeing you in. Okay, you've probably seen it where people are really into you and then suddenly they're really not into you. That's called the halo effect, and that's the reticular activation system. So I started to realize that. And then what I focused on profoundly was deep identity level change. And what I realized in that program, which I went over in massive, massive, massive detail, was the way that frames are established and frame controls established, which is very, very natural, not needing routines. It's completely natural. And what I showed in there was basically that if you have a deep identity level change at a core level, you don't really need to warm up that much anymore. So you're not really going to be under pressure in the way that you were anymore. Okay, that will just change. So what wound up happening was we taught that program, and basically what we said is, look, imagine, first of all, we explained what getting in state is, right? And how when you get in state, when you get in that winner effect, your mind opens up, you get into a flow state, you can talk and talk, you're super funny, your voice is booming loud, you're naturally rapport breaking, you're naturally a little bit disagreeable, like all those attractive qualities happen when you're in state. But what used to happen to me when I was younger was I would warm up, and then if the warm-ups went well, I'd get in a flow state, and if the warm-ups went bad, I felt terrible. And I hated that because I knew I was good at what I did, but I knew that my results were still like if I was doing an infield training, I knew that at least one night, this was back then when I was way young, and the programs were cheaper back then. But basically, I knew that if I did 3 nights, at least one of the nights I would kill it. So students would see me fucking tear it up minimum one night. Like they'd be like, damn, bro, you killed it tonight, even if the 2 of the other nights were okay, right? But oftentimes I could get all 3, could usually get at least 2 out of 3, and at minimum I could get 1 out of 3, right? But I wanted to get 3 of 3 consistently and not have to think about it anymore. That was my obsession because it was just under a lot of pressure. That's where a lot of this content came from, right? Like imagine me teaching boot camp, right? Imagine you being a boot camp teacher, right? It's fucking crazy. I mean, it's the most insane teaching you've ever seen. It's so fucking crazy teaching boot camp. So basically what I realized was, okay, Imagine, for example, if you look really good, how much you get in state. Imagine if it was your party, how much you get in state. Imagine if you had the thing that everybody came for. Maybe you're playing guitar and everyone came to watch you do it, how much you'd get in state. Imagine if you have new clothes, how much you get in state. Imagine if you have all these people there validating you, how much you get in state. Get in touch with that feeling deeply. Know what it does to you. Internalize it. And find it in your own authentic core value. Have a deep identity level change. Give that to yourself. And that was the most badass change that I was able to create in probably when I was about, I started leading into it like maybe 24, 25, 26, 27. And the reason why I would do this was because I would sometimes go to Hollywood Hills parties and I would see guys that were there that were naturals, guys that didn't need to get in state, guys who didn't need routines. And I was like, I want to be like those guys, but I don't want to just be like those guys. I want to metaphorically flamethrow those motherfuckers. Like, I want to be so fucking good that I can be dominant any environment that I go into, and I want to be able to do it from cold. So, for example, if you look at me at an event when everybody's cheering, going, oh, win, oh, win, oh, win, right? I go in there, everybody's feeding me their energy and validating me, and I go in there and I fucking tear it up, right? You guys have seen me do this in countless videos. But the thing is, nah. Fuck that. Fuck that. It's not about going into an environment of people fucking cheering for you and tearing it up. That ain't shit, okay? Real pressure is going into an environment where fucking nobody knows you. You ain't shit. You are just the most average podunk motherfucker they've ever fucking seen. So in other words, are you in the hottest clubs in South Beach, hottest clubs in Manhattan, hottest clubs in Vegas, hottest clubs in LA, and all over the country? we fucking roll. Okay, so I've done this all over the fucking world, okay? So, I mean, I just, my life is this fucking blur of a fucking war zone of people, like going into environments. I've got students there that are paying me the big bucks. They want to see me fucking crush it. They want to fucking crush it. And literally, come hell or high water, I'm going to that venue and I'm going to fucking own that venue, okay? I am going to own that venue. Most attractive people in there, they're going to be into me. It's going to be fucking awesome, but they're also going to be to my students. And we are going to fucking crush, okay? That's my mindset, to come in there and be the shit. So I don't care what fucking country it is, day, night, loud venue, quiet venue. I don't care, okay? I don't give a fuck. No excuse, LFG, motherfucker. Let's fucking go. I'll probably circle back to this, or maybe another video. I did this shit for 3 months in a fucking wheelchair. Do you understand? In a fucking wheelchair, while fucking guys bitch and moan that they can't do this shit. Bitch and fucking moan. In a fucking wheelchair, I did this and smashed it. Taught events in a wheelchair. Didn't hold me back in the slightest. Shot videos in a wheelchair, which you're going to see coming out over the next several months. Seminars in a wheelchair. Infield trading in a wheelchair. All in a fucking wheelchair. Didn't even blink. Didn't even stutter. It didn't mean shit. I'll make a whole video about that sometime. It was a hell of an experience. I'm hobbling around. I'm walking around. Hell of an experience. But, man, it's like, pile the pressure on, okay? I've gone out dressed like a fucking clown and done it. I've run around with my shirt off when I'm out of shape doing it. I've been in my best clothes. I've been in my worst clothes. I've been tired when I've done it. I don't give a fuck. In your mind, you are like a nuclear tank. Nothing will stop you. Let me be clear about this. In your mind, you are metaphorically a nuclear fucking tank. Nothing will stop you. Do you understand me? No excuse. Nothing will stop you. The guy that you went out with is 7 inches taller than you, better looking than you. Nothing will stop you. You will be the best. You're ugly. The guy that you went out with is a pretty person. Doesn't matter. You are the best. Nothing will stop you. Do you understand? There is only winning. There is only winning. Winning upon winning upon winning upon winning upon winning upon winning upon. It's just winning. Winning all the way down. Winning all the way down. That's it. Okay, now look, I sound fucking crazy when I'm talking like this. Do you understand the pressure that I've been under for decades? Do you understand? Do you comprende? So, you know, you get a little fucking crazy. That's how you fucking get. If somebody, you know, which would be a lot worse, would be, you know, in live fire in World War II, and they're just like in trench fucking warfare, and they're just blasting, and they blast them for 7 years, they come out looking a little fucking crazy. They're like, yo, let's go. I don't give a fuck. Let's go. That's the mindset. No excuses. People don't pay you to put up fucking excuses. They don't give a fuck. Do you understand? You could only win. There's nothing but winning. So you've got to dig deeper into yourself. Okay? You dig deeper in yourself. I hide how much derision I have for people that give up. Okay? I'm like, hey, you're on your journey. In my mind, I'm like, pathetic. How dare you? How fucking dare you? Forge in the image of your creator. Forge for raw, unadulterated excellence. And you sit there being a fucking bitch. Okay? I just don't get it. Okay? I pretend to get it. I'm like, hey, you know, I know. In my mind, because see, I came up lightly autistic, hard case, super hard. And if that's you, in some ways, I'm like you. But in other ways, I'm different because I understood that I would, no matter what, get to the goal. That was clear. There was never a question. Do you understand? Never a fucking question. Do you understand? Okay? Do you fucking get it? Okay? There's no other thought but to get to the goal. This is natural. Human beings, as far as they think, we came from South Africa and hiked all the way up Africa. Look, hiking up Africa on a fucking trail, a hiking trail, would be brutally tough. These people didn't have a fucking hiking trail. They were hiking through raw underbrush. Go try to take a hike like at your local forest off the trail. You better be careful. You could get yourself killed if you don't have compass and like a way to go off trail. See how hard that is. You probably don't live in Africa. If you do, what's up from Africa? What's up to Africa? But the point is, you probably live in a place without predators everywhere. Our ancestors, remember we're all family. Our ancestors came up through that, okay, through extreme danger, and they just kept going. That's what you actually are. You're not a bitch. That's not even true. You're under fucking hypnosis. The natural way that you are is just to win. just to get to your goal, okay? This is not me being motivational, like inspiring. No, this is the fucking truth. You've been lied to about who you are. You don't even know who the fuck you are, okay? So you could always find a way to get where it is that you want to go. Always. Do you understand me? Always, okay? And not getting there, it's not tapping into who you are, and your life will be sad. And you'll get older and more fucking dumb and derpy and put in your fucking head and fucking weirdo. And it's just gonna, not in the good version of weirdo, but the bad version. And it's just gonna get more and more and more sad. And by the end of it, for most adult men particularly, but women too, the soul dies before the body dies. Your soul just goes out. It's just the truth. Walk around, you'll see it. So look, treat everybody with respect nonetheless, but it's a fuck crazy world out there, and you don't want to be that. And it can and will happen to you if you don't push back against it, okay? So the major mindset is, at this point, is deep identity level change. In other words, the pressure's gone. This is just who you are right now. That's it. Okay? Now, when this happens, you're in state like a badass all the fucking time. Now there's levels to it. So in other words, what I would have thought of, decades ago as like a Satori spiritual experience, for me now, that would be like my average day going to fucking Starbucks. I don't go to Starbucks, but you know my point. Okay? That'd be like me at Starbucks. Okay? So when you're low down, getting a little bit in state seems like a big deal. Getting very in state seems like a big deal. As you go up, there's levels to it. It deepens. Okay, that state deepens within you because it's identity level. And what will start happening more and more is that you'll find that you've just spent decades in the fucking zone. It's badass. It's fucking awesome. And the pressure is just amazing. You love it. You thrive off of it. But where it gets deeper, in my view, where this really, really, really deepens, is when you learn to allow the energy that's moving through you to run you and move you and to be sort of just, I guess you just say sort of a vehicle for the energy that's coming through you. And that's when shit hits like crazy fucking levels. So you could be under pressure, but that pressure actually switches on this faucet where the truth just comes through you in this beautiful, beautiful way. And that is when you're getting into like crazy fucking levels. And what you've got to do is you just got to like get out of the way. At that point, you just get out of the fucking way. And then you love that pressure. Now, the way that I do seminars as well, which is very, very unusual, is I try to go into every single seminar with nothing prepped. And I do this with live broadcasts too. And by the way, part of why I do these broadcasts live most of the time is because I like the pressure. Like I like the fact that I could be 45 minutes into it or something. And if I don't nail it, then you've got this video that you're 45 minutes into and you've fucked it up. And then now you might have to delete it or something. Like I enjoy the pressure of that. As far as I know, there's actually less views on a live than a regular video. So I'm technically, by a way of looking at it, potentially even losing viewership. By the way, though, Michael Sartain, who was here recently, he says that he thinks that lives get more views. I personally don't click on lives later, so I don't know if he's right or wrong. But my understanding of it, there was less. Who knows? I'm not a YouTube expert. But anyway, the point being was that I just do it live just because I love the fucking pressure of just having people watching. Okay, so and most lives that I do really are live. Some are not, but most are. Now, going from there, what you'll see is that I go into seminars with nothing prepped, which is very, very unusual for a seminar speaker. So, some people obviously point out like, hey, when you go in with nothing prepped, it's a bit all over the place. I've got programs like Blueprint, Hot Seat, Blueprint Reloaded, the trainings that I do, and many other things that I do that are highly, highly, highly structured. Any idiot knows that a free video on YouTube is not a product. If someone doesn't get that, they're stupid. But the point is that even me free associating is actually somewhat close to that, like that kind of prep, because I'm inventing it on the spot, but doing so in a way that is actually not that far off what a product might look like. My products just happen to be very hyper-organized and to the point, as well as the free courses that I've done over the years. But as far as things like me doing speeches unprepared, that takes balls of fucking steel, okay? Now, here's why I say this. In a city like New York, if I'm doing a 4-day event, and I'm doing that in Manhattan, because the prices in Manhattan are so retarded, it wouldn't be uncommon that we're paying as high as $30,000 a day for a conference room, which means that we're going to be paying $120,000 in conference room expenses, plus flights for the camera team, flights for staff, all the prep time that it takes to, get everybody registered, people, the web work that you're doing, all the follow-up work that you're doing, the email work that you're doing, getting out there. And I'm actually doing these huge conference rooms without even a microphone connected to speakers. So when I go in there, here's what you don't know. Most seminar speakers go in there and they use this sort of like Russell Brunson type of sales script where it's kind of like this hybrid between content, but mostly sales. As a result, they cannot be that free associative, and the only time that they're going to free associate is usually during Q&A, which is cool. I'm not opposed to that kind of speaking. I don't do it myself. I'm not opposed to it. Maybe I would do it in the future. For example, let's say that I was, speaking to a stadium and like you have no choice but to convert to get your money back that you spent on the stadium. Well, in that case, maybe I would do more of a scripted thing, and then I would in the Q&A, then I could be free associative. But up until now, even when my raw expenses could be 150 grand for a weekend, and I challenged myself that I'm going to do less than maybe 5 minutes of sales over 4 full days, because basically what I'll do is I'll just say, I'll just go crank free associative speech. I'll say, if anybody here has it on their bucket list item to work with me before you die, I'll see at the back. That's all that I do. And I don't do this whole thing of like, you need a mentor, but like what a lot of these guys do, like all this like embedded sales stuff. I do touches of it, but it's really, really soft touch. Like compared to what I could do, it is very soft. Well, I go in there and focus primarily on free associative content. And I do that because it takes balls of steel and I fucking love it. Okay. So I go in there and I have it where I'm like, just this big sea of people. That's in a city like New York, big sea of people, nothing prepped, go up. No mind, blank mind, Zen mind. Tap in, and let's look at the paradigms that we've covered. When I was younger, warming up, just starting and not judging yourself. Why still use a touch of that in front of that big room? I just start talking, and even if the first 10 or 20 minutes isn't great, I view it like a warm up. So I don't get down on myself. I just view it like I'm just getting into rhythm now. No big deal. Number 2, getting in that flow state, as I did when I was younger. I get into a nice flow state. The more that I get into a flow state, the better. Okay? From there, identity level change. I'm not acting as Owen. I'm not Owen public speaking. I'm Owen communicating. There's no filter between me and the audience. There's no persona. It is just me sharing. And then from there, allowing the energy to move through me and to guide me. And so when you do that, you have this incredible, incredible fucking thrill. And that's what I do when I'm doing free seminars. It's really fucking badass. A boot camp, I do a curriculum. It's exercise driven and feedback driven, but at the free seminars, that's how I do it. So that's how I've handled the pressure of Infield trainings over the years. And, in the future, when I'm not doing them, try to keep in mind, and when these things are really not offered anymore, and I have a feeling that as I'm offering them less and less, they're just kind of less out there. But that let it be known that back in the day, there was a couple fucking badasses that weekend in and weekend out. Often back when I was teaching this, it was often 50 weekends a year. Now it's just a few times a year. But there was these people that were out there that 50 times a year would just go put it on the fucking line and be so sharp, like so metaphorically dangerously sharp at this that they could demonstrate it on command, but not just demonstrate it, but get every other person doing it. Because not just people come on a training so they go, oh, this guy's awesome. People come on an Infield training because they want to replicate the same result. So it's a double pressure. You got to smash it. But your frame has to be so fucking strong that you also pull other people that would have a weaker frame up into your frame. So you've got to be a gangster when it comes to frame control. Like, you have some nerdy little dude, but he's there because he wants to fucking learn. And you've got to not just kind of brainwash yourself, but you've got to be inside his mind and showing him that he's the fucking shit. He's fucking amazing and gonna crush it. And it's a hell of an experience. I mean, really, there's nothing else like it. And this is how I've lived my entire adult life. Just throwing myself in there. So you think you know me, right? You're like, oh, I know Owen. Yeah, he does some little videos from his house. He does some free tour videos, sometimes out in nature. You've never seen me teach. You have known me for years. You have never seen me teach. You know very, very little about my teaching. You know about 1% of my teaching. My teaching over these decades is not me going on a rant at a free tour. That's a stretch before a marathon. It's not me keeping the chops sharp by knocking out a quick live up in my crib. It's the real teaching, which is done in the field where the real transformation takes place. The field is not a place for people who are like tourists or voyeurs or people that just want to feel like, I feel like I had some change from watching. I find the videos inspiring. Fuck your inspiration. The field is for people that are ready to go all out, that want dramatic, rapid fucking transformation. Rapid. And they're willing to put their fucking money where their mouth is. They believe in themselves. They believe that they will get an ROI like Sid did from an experience like that. And they're not fucking around. Okay? And they're willing to take the most hardcore gangster fucking trading on the fucking planet to get those results fast. And they want to go to the top. It's a beautiful thing. Okay? So anyway, that has been what I've dealt with over the years. And that I just wanted to, I don't really know how much longer I'm doing boot camps for. And I'm actually shutting down the list for boot camp coming up. So they're not going to be available online anymore. Like I said, they're available only through Instagram right now. I don't even have a website for it. I've got a 22-year client list actually on these things. So what winds up happening is they fill on their own. These things just fill. So I keep it mostly to people who I know and trust. But if you want to get on it, I would hit me up pretty quick, okay? And I'm going to do a couple little videos about this, and that'll be that. So I'd hit me up very, very, very quick if you want to come. Just go on Instagram, Owen Cook, shoot me a DM, name, phone number, email, and time to call you. If you can't do those 4 things, that's a screen that you're probably not ready to learn from boot camp, because boot camp's a lot harder than that. Name, phone number, email, and time to call you. In my DMs, love you very much. Be back with more soon. Keep in mind, like I said, how to handle pressure. You're fucking capable. I'll see you soon. Peace.